Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate the hearing today. I want to start with you, Ms. Franks. I believe you said the government has the right to participate in expressing its viewpoint. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't, respectfully, Ms. Franks, I don't think that's what we're really talking about here today. We're not talking about the government expressing its viewpoints. What we're really talking about is when the government pays and uses taxpayer dollars to fund these entities that we're talking about here today that actually discredit some of these news sites and drives away their advertisers. Do you think that's fair as well?
Hey everyone, welcome back to Freedom Forge, your home for truth, freedom, and unapologetic common sense. If you believe in the Constitution, the First Amendment, and the American way of life, you are in the right place. Today, we're reacting to an absolutely infuriating congressional hearing. And folks, you need to see this because it shows exactly how far the government and its so-called experts are willing to go to silence your voice, your values, and conservative media across this country. Let's break down what happened.
What is fair is for the government to be able to fund projects and organizations that do certain things with those funds that may include competing in the marketplace of ideas, and they may be winning in the marketplace of ideas, but the government is not making those choices. And when certain news outlets lose in the marketplace of ideas, they may want to blame the government for that, but maybe they're just losers.
So, okay, Ms. Franks, do you think...
It's actually Dr. Franks.
What's that?
It's actually Dr. Franks.
Okay, Dr. Franks, sorry. Ms. Yonas here said that when she was looking at these entities and the organizations that they had blacklisted, every single one of them was a conservative-leaning organization. Do you think that's fair as well? Is that okay? Dr. Franks?
Use a different name, so I wasn't sure you were talking to me.
Yeah, I'm still talking to you. I'm still looking at you. I'm still talking to you.
Would you repeat the question for me?
Yeah, you seem to have a problem paying attention to the questions being asked of you today. I'll repeat it for you again. Do you think that it's okay that these entities that are blacklisting companies, all of the companies on the list that are blacklisted are conservative outlets?
Do I think that it is okay for a company, for a nonprofit organization to develop tools that offer rankings, in other words, offer speech of criticism, critical speech about certain businesses? Yes, I think that's okay because that is protected First Amendment activity.
So you think it's okay for the federal government to be using our tax dollars to basically, through a proxy, blacklist one side of the aisle? You think that's okay?
I do not, because that is not what is happening.
Really? How so?
Yes.
Then why are all the companies on the list, the blacklist, conservative groups?
I think that's something that conservatives would need to answer.
No, I think that's something you need to answer. Because we're talking about censorship here, and there's only one group of people being censored.
No one is being censored.
Miss Yonas here admitted that she's not even a Republican. She leans left, yet she's telling us that all of the companies on the blacklist are conservative groups. How do you square that, Doctor?
I don't have to square that because, as I said, the focus
I know, because you don't have to make any sense, do you?
May I answer the question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Right.
The First Amendment has certain principles and certain rules. People may not like them. People may disagree with them. People may not like the fact that someone out there may say conservatives are all bad or liberals are all bad. The correct response to not liking that is to engage in your own speech, as is often happening here. It is not to say, oh, this is censorship, we're being silenced. It's simply to say, we disagree with what's being said here. Try to compete, and if you are good enough, maybe you'll win.
Miss Yonas, what do you have to say about what Dr. Franks just said?
First of all, I want to be clear that this wasn't just about NewsGuard and GDI. The government was funding hundreds, at least 300 tools and technologies that were designed to censor speech. Some of them weren't even pretending to censor foreign disinformation, quote unquote disinformation. Of course, that's a subjective term. So they were hosting COVID disinformation challenges where they were giving grants to companies who showed that they were the best at censoring COVID disinformation. COVID is not really a national security or foreign topic, even if it, has some tinges of that. So this was about the government using its authority. The government can't use its authority, can't use its power, and can't use its money in order to censor views it doesn't like. It's the government, yes, it has a right to censor to express its own views, but not to use those views to censor. That's where it stops. And the court expressly said that in Vulo recently, actually.
Mr. Weingarten, I'm going to allow you to comment on this exchange.
I just say briefly, we've heard a robust defense of the government's purported right to speak, which, as we've established, really looks like a right to censor, and the censors portrayed as the victims here, but American speech en masse has been censored by this censorship industrial complex on a slew of issues that expressly reflect protected political speech. And if a stop isn't put to it, we're going to lose this right in toto.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
First up, massive shout out to Representative Eli Crane from Arizona. This guy gets it. He asked the tough questions. He went after Dr. Franks, who basically said, oh, it's fine for the government to fund projects that compete in the marketplace of ideas. Excuse me? That's not just expressing a viewpoint. That's using MY tax dollars and your tax dollars to pay these so-called fact-checkers and disinformation experts to discredit conservative news outlets and destroy their advertising revenue. Let me ask you, Dr. Franks, if the government was funding a group to blacklist and demonetize MSNBC, CNN, and every left-wing outlet, would you be saying that's just marketplace competition? Of course not. But because it's conservative sites, because it's people like us, suddenly it's just the free market and maybe we're just losers. This is what we're up against, folks. These people do not respect you, your views, or your right to participate in the public square. Representative Crane absolutely nails it. He points out, and this is damning, that every single outlet on these blacklists is conservative. Every single one. That's not a coincidence. That's not marketplace competition. That's ideological warfare, plain and simple. And Dr. Franks? She dodges, gets visibly flustered, and then has the nerve to say it's just critical speech protected by the First Amendment. No, Dr. Franks, the First Amendment is there to protect citizens from the government, not to give the government the power to pick winners and losers in the media landscape. When the government funds an organization to destroy its political opponents' livelihoods, that's not free speech. That's censorship by proxy, and it is un-American. Now listen to Miss Yonas. She's not even a Republican. She says she leans left, and even SHE is blowing the whistle on this. She says it's not just a couple of outfits like NewsGuard and GDI. No, it's hundreds of tools and technologies funded by the government, whose entire purpose is to censor speech. She talks about COVID disinformation challenges, where the government handed out grants to whoever could silence wrong-think the best. Let me break it down for you. The government is using your money to fund a censorship industrial complex. They're not just going after fake Russian bots or Chinese propaganda. They're going after anyone who questions the narrative on COVID, on elections, on anything the left doesn't like. And then they pretend it's all about public safety or national security. Give me a break. Yonas says it perfectly. The government can express its viewpoint, but it cannot use its authority, its power, or its money to silence the views it doesn't like. That's the line. And according to her, a federal court just agreed. Thank goodness for that. But here's the real question. Why is this happening in the first place? Why do we have to drag these so-called experts before Congress to get them to admit what's obvious to anyone paying attention? Because the left, the bureaucracy, and their friends in big tech want to control what you see, what you hear, and what you think. If you dare to disagree, they'll call it disinformation, blacklist you, and try to starve your business. Mr. Weird calls it out. This is a censorship industrial complex. And if we don't put a stop to it, we're going to lose our right to free speech altogether. He's absolutely right. If we let the government, the deep state, and their cronies decide what's true and what's dangerous, then the First Amendment means nothing. This is the kind of stuff you see in totalitarian countries, not in the United States of America. So what do? We fight back. We support real journalism, independent voices, and representatives like Eli Crane who are willing to stand up to this madness. We demand transparency. We demand accountability. And we never, ever let the government tell us what we can or cannot say. If you care about freedom, if you care about truth, share this video. Subscribe, hit that bell, And stay tuned because we're not backing down. Not now, not ever. Thanks for watching, Patriots. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.